Yeah, so I tried to go down a rabbit hole, and things got weird. So here's my logic, and just see if you can follow me here. I've been complaining forever about the fact that like YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all the streamers have their own algorithms, and one of the things that really annoys me is if the movie is really dark, something like The Batman, for instance, because the way the streaming algorithms compress stuff, the stuff that's really dark looks way terrible compared to the rest of the stuff. So stuff that's bright tends to look fine, but you see these weird gradients, and you can actually see it in this image right here, these weird compression gradients. Part of that is it's 10-bit colors usually, which gives you a gradient, but also the compression makes it like 10 times worse. The other thing I've noticed, at least in my own stuff, is if I'll make a video that's 1080p and then I send it to YouTube and bring it back to me in 1080p, it goes down to like a 720p quality of detail. And so what I've been doing is I'll make my video in 1080p, but I'll export it as 4K, even though it's got 1080p worth of pixels. And so YouTube thinks it's 4K and gives me a little bit of a sharper image. But for some reason, YouTube's 1080p looks like 720p. I thought that was the same for the streamers, but going in here, I found some weird stuff. So my theory about all this was you take like a DVD or a Blu-ray, you take Netflix, you take Amazon, maybe Hulu, maybe some of the others, and you compare the same footage, the same movie. How does each streamer compare? I tried to be scientific about it, but as it turns out, I suck. So here's what I got. So I had to figure out. First of all, I don't have any Blu-rays, and so that was off the table. So I had to use DVDs. So I was like, well, what DVD do I have, or do I have access to that also is on Netflix? What's also on Amazon? Ideally, Hulu. The others. I'll cut to the chase here. It was Netflix and Amazon, and of the like half dozen DVDs that I had that were on all three, um, Too Fast, Too Furious, circa whatever year it was, 2003, 2004, maybe 2002. I don't know. So that's yeah. Feel free to judge me on that. Um, yeah. So I was like, okay. So we have a DVD of Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm gonna record that, screen record that, use the same screen record settings for a Netflix copy in 1080p and a Amazon copy in 1080p. Obviously, the DVD version is a little weird because it's 720p, but it's also 30 frames per second, where American films are almost always in 24 frames per second. So again, I had to, in my screen recording, set everything to 30 frames per second, which gave me problems, but I'm trying not to get too technical too fast here. But basically, this was of an era where, widescreen was still like a big deal. It says widescreen across the top because most TVs were not widescreen. So it's a 720p HD, not full HD, which is 1080p image, 30 frames per second, versus Netflix and Amazon, which offered me 1080p with their streaming algorithm, 24 frames per second. I recorded all of it. I put it into my editor, and I was looking for this blocky artifact thing. That was really what I was hoping to get. Cliff Notes is I'm gonna have to do it again, and I'm just gonna have to suck it up and buy a Blu-ray of The Batman, which is a very dark film that I've complained about on my channel for being dark and how algorithms suck on it. So that'll be down the road. I'll use the Blu-ray, and then I'll record it off HBO legally-ish, and then I'll record it off of Amazon legally-ish, and we'll see where we're at with that. But until then, I found some weird stuff going on with the Too Fast, Too Furious stuff that I did. So the image that's right here, this is the Amazon image, just straight out of the recorder. I didn't mess with it yet. This I did have to change for some reason the Amazon one recorded a little slower than the rest in literal speed. So I had to change the clip speed to 100.04% to catch it up to the rest of them. Again, this whole timeline is in 30 frames per second, which is kind of annoying, but yeah. And that mostly fixed it, but I did miss, there was a couple spots where I just it's not fully synced up correctly. I do have my hero shot of Paul, beautiful Paul Walker. which is mostly synced up correctly. Anyway, so here's what we got. We got let's find this. Okay, so this is the Amazon version. Here's the DVD version. Uh, it should be exactly the same image. It might be a frame off, it looks like, but Amazon version's a lot brighter than the DVD version. And then here's the Netflix version. It's closer to the DVD version, so DVD, Netflix, DVD, Netflix. It's different. So they're all three different. And that's the case throughout all of them. So if you look at all of them together, we can do this. So top left is Amazon, top right is Netflix, and bottom middle is DVD. Uh, a couple things you'll notice there we go. A couple things you'll notice is, yeah, Amazon's super bright. The Netflix is sort of in between, and the DVD is the dimmest and the least saturated, which is wild. There's also a really obvious sharpness difference. At least in this shot, it looks like the Amazon one is much sharper than the rest. But when you actually punch in, they're the Amazon and the Netflix one are basically the same sharpness. Uh, they're doing something different. It looks like the Netflix one is a little bit more grainy, which is kind of weird. I don't know if you can see that here. We'll do like 300% just to make it even more obnoxious. But yeah, if you look in the grain of the image, so there's Netflix, there's Amazon. Yeah, wild. So, and then the DVD is also, it's not really, it's got actual like film grain on it. You can look at that, but that's like film grain. So it's not really grainy the way the Amazon and the Netflix ones are. So it's very possible the Netflix and the Amazon ones have film grain on them, but then they have their own compression grain. It's a whole thing. Um, yeah, I mean, that's look at the white pants. It's definitely less sharp, but then you put on Amazon, it's got a ton of noise on it, and you put on the Netflix again, a ton of noise. So it's very strange. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with that in my brain, but yeah, there's a brightness difference. I'm fairly certain these two are basically the same sharpness, and then this one is just an order of magnitude less sharp, and that's because it's a 720p image. Um, yeah, and if you bring them all up to the brightness that is the Amazon one, they all look basically the same. There's still a sharpness difference here, but yeah, this was just a quick like color grade thing, so I definitely overshot this one. It's too bright, clearly. Although if you look at the hero shot, I feel like I really nailed the hero shot. There's beautiful Paul, R.I.P. Yeah, so Amazon, Netflix, and DVD. Yeah, yeah. I think it made me think about film school. Made me think about the fact that um, it's so like whatever film you see, especially previous to digital, was a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So like really old films, a lot of times like one of the reels might be a different color, or it might be missing a reel or whatever, because they had to keep making copies, and so every time you make a copy it's a little bit worse. I guess that's happening with this too, and I think it's because it was mastered you know with celluloid and then later transferred to digital. My guess is the Netflix version is some version of the DVD or the original archival footage. They're doing that, and that the Amazon one is some sort of copy from that's been adjusted somehow. It could be that they all use the same original source material, and the Amazon algorithm automatically makes things brighter and more saturated. It's a thing. Apple QuickTime does some version of this. I think they make things darker, as I recall. I don't know. I don't mess with QuickTime. I just use VLC. This is all. I know this is all technical and it's all annoying, but I'm just saying, like, the original source, Too Fast, Too Furious copy that has been digitally transferred is different between all three, not just in quality of sharpness and stuff, but actual like colors and brightness, which I did not expect. So weird. Aesthetically, I gotta be honest, as much as I appreciate the sort of just the clean, less noisy version of the DVD, which is what my assumption was going to be, is the DVD slash Blu-ray is always going to be better because it's it's not limited by the streaming compression. It's the amount of data that's available. Um, for what it's worth, this like 7 minute clip for all of these was like a gigabyte. I think a whole DVD is like 2 gigabytes, and so I definitely recorded more information than was available on the DVD. But yeah, I don't know. To my, if I was a real snob and I wanted to be like as accurate as what the creator's intent was, and I'm not in a movie theater, I guess I'm gonna have to trust the DVD or the Blu-ray because that seems to be the cleanest version. But when I'm looking at it, this movie is all about bright colors, and the Amazon one by far is bright and bright colors. And so for convenience sake, or for appreciation of the image sake, I gotta probably say the Amazon one, which is weird. And the Netflix one kind of splits the difference, but the Netflix one again is kind of noisier and kind of worse. It could be that this version was not. Uh, doesn't the next pay level also give you a higher 1080p stream? I know it gives you a 4K stream, but doesn't it give you a higher 1080p stream? I don't remember. I have the cheapo one, cheapo version of Netflix. So weird, very strange. Didn't get what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a really obvious difference where the one of the streamers have all this horrible blocking and color. I forget. It's just bad color separation. It's basically just color blockiness. This is considered an artifact, color artifact. And yes, both the streamers have it, but so does the DVD when you make it as bright as Amazon. It's a different kind of blockiness, which is interesting, um, which I wouldn't have expected. But uh, other than that, I mean, like actually, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like the image between. Oh, that's why. Never mind. There you go. Yeah, it's different. I was gonna say the Netflix one and the DVD one are the same. They're not. The DVD one is has better. It still has the 8-bit sort of waviness that you see in like skies and dark things and weird color transitions. But when it's actually in its original version, you can barely see it because it's so dark. Whereas Amazon, you can see it all the time. So, um, takeaways. Well, I'm gonna do this again for sure with the Batman because I feel like I know that I remember watching on my screen the Batman and seeing just a disaster in the dark parts of the image, which is so much of that movie because that's how that movie was designed. And so my argument remains dark movies deserve a different algorithm that favors darker parts of the image because I think the logic of most of these compression algorithms for streaming is if it's dark, it's automatically less important. And so throw that data away in favor of brighter parts of the image. Most of the time that works. I think for like the Batman, that doesn't work. The other thing is, yeah, it'd be really nice. I guess the people that would pay to stream something that has like a 1-to-1 to the quality of like a Blu-ray or like a 4K Blu-ray will find a way to do it. And I guess I'm just too cheap, or I just live in a place where the internet is just not capable of that kind of information download anyway. Yeah, so more research required. Uh, yeah. The other thing is, I have Blu-rays of Battlestar Galactica, and that was mastered. I don't need to get into it. That's neither here nor there. My only point was that was mastered when they could only see it in like 720p, but they mastered it in 1080p, but they mastered it in the bleeding edge of 1080p. So everything that's dark in the image is crazy noisy, and the CGI they use is also crazy noisy as a response to that, as a consequence of that. Whereas now anything in 1080p basically, depending on how you shoot it, can be pretty much without noise, which is kind of awesome because we're just there. So I don't know. Yeah, weird little misadventure. Didn't get what I was hoping to get. Also, pain in the ass to try to record stuff. Uh, Netflix does not like you to screen record stuff, which I know. Amazon doesn't seem to care. YouTube doesn't seem to care. I think Hulu blocks you, and I'm pretty sure HBO blocks you. And DVDs, by their very nature, are too dumb to notice. I think Blu-rays block you, but I don't remember. Anyway, technical rabbit hole. Found another rabbit hole in it, and frustrated, real frustrated. It's also cold outside. I'm sweating, and I don't know why because we don't have the heat on. So, am I just have I hit that part of my life where this is what happens now? This is who I am now? I don't know. Um, what do you guys think? Is it really douchey of me that it's Too Fast, Too Furious? Let me know in below. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next time.